Some of us have become so addicted to being busy that we have stopped asking whether we are actually growing. We wake up tired, stay occupied all day, go to bed exhausted, and call it progress. But being busy and moving forward are not the same thing. A hamster runs all day too, but it never leaves the wheel. Sometimes I sit down at the end of the day and I ask myself a simple question. Did I actually make progress today? Or was I just busy? And honestly, that is a much harder question to answer than most people realize, because business is easy to make mistake to mistake for growth. Business feels productive. Growth often does not. Business keeps us occupied. Growth changes us. Business fills our time. Growth improves our future. And the scary thing is that many of us have become experts at staying busy. We answer messages, we scroll through social media, we attend meetings, we make plans, we watch videos, we talk about ideas, we think about goals, we stay occupied from morning until night. Then we look back at the last 6 months, the last year, sometimes even the last 5 years, and wonder why our lives have not changed as much as we expected. The reason is simple: activity is not the same as progress. I learned something that made me uncomfortable. You can spend an entire day doing things and still avoid the things that matter most. Think about that for a moment. You can be busy from morning until evening and still avoid your biggest goal. You can answer 50 messages and never work on your dream. You can spend hours organizing your plans and never take action. You can stay occupied every day and still remain stuck. That is why business is so dangerous. At least when you are doing nothing, you know you are doing nothing. But business creates the illusion of progress. It tricks you into feeling productive without requiring meaningful growth. Growth usually looks very different. Growth often feels uncomfortable. Growth requires focus. Growth demands change. Growth asks something from you. Growth is learning a skill when nobody is forcing you to learn. Growth is having difficult conversations you have been avoiding. Growth is improving habits that are holding you back. Growth is doing work that produces long term results instead of short term comfort. And here is the part I constantly remind myself of: growth does not always feel productive in the moment. Sometimes growth feels frustrating. Sometimes growth feels slow. Sometimes growth feels invisible. Sometimes growth feels like you are putting in effort without seeing immediate results. That is why many people choose business instead of growth. Business gives instant satisfaction. Growth often delays its rewards. You can spend 3 hours scrolling and feeling entertained immediately. You can spend 3 hours learning a new skill and still feel frustrated because you are still a beginner. One feels good now, the other changes your future. And life keeps asking us which one we want more. Another difference between growth and business is that business is usually reactive, growth is intentional. Busy people spend their days responding to notification, responding to distractions, responding to other people's priorities, responding to whatever demands their attention. Growing people, they decide where their attention goes. They don't just react to life. They direct it. That does not mean they have everything figured out. It simply means they understand that attention is one of the most valuable things they possess, and they protect it. I have noticed that busyness often comes from avoidance, not laziness. It's avoidance. Sometimes we are busy because we are avoiding something important, avoiding the project we have been delaying, avoiding the difficult conversation we need to have, avoiding the risk we need to take, avoiding the change we know is necessary. So we fill our lives with smaller tasks, not because they are important, but because they help us avoid the things that truly matter. And if I am being honest, I have done this myself. I have spent time perfecting things that did not need perfection. I have spent time preparing when I should have been acting. I have spent time planning when I should have been starting. I have spent time doing easy work instead of meaningful work. From the outside, it looks productive, but deep down, I know the truth. I was busy, not growing. That's why this message is for me too, because growth requires honesty. It requires us to ask uncomfortable questions. Questions like, am I actually moving forward? Or am I simply staying occupied? Am I becoming better? Or am I just becoming busier? Am I spending time on what matters? Or am I spending time on what is easy? Because eventually, life reveals the difference. Busyness creates exhaustion, growth creates transformation. Business fills your calendar, growth changes your character. Business makes you feel active, but growth makes you become different. And years later, nobody cares how busy you were. What matters is who you became. What matters is what you learned. What matters is what you built. What matters is whether your actions actually moved you closer to the life you want. That is why every now and then we need to pause, not to rest from growth, but to make sure we are actually growing. Because movement without direction is just wandering. Effort without purpose is just exhaustion. And business without growth is one of the easiest ways to waste years of your life without realizing it. The biggest trap is not being lazy. The biggest trap is being busy enough to feel productive while staying exactly where you are.